We have got a show for you. And I mean me and the gang. Welcome to Gem Collectors with Shawn. I am Shawn. And, we've been bringing it on to you every week. And same thing again. I've got a lot of new goodies. And if I show you something that I've showed you before, it will be less than it was before. I don't know where to start, except, a couple of mentions, because Barbara's one to always remind me. The show's been getting posted right along on time. I did see where it posted a little later than normal, but that way, making excuses breaks it up and allows everybody to get a chance in at the show at a different time, right? Yeah. Okay. If I can get to it time-wise, I have a really neat demonstration for you that I haven't done before, and it is on the use and the practicality of magnetism, except magnetism at a percentage in a gemstone that is so low it is not detectable, like I normally show you. Like when I normally put an almandine, iron garnet, and it just smacks up next to the neodymium super magnet, jumps to it. But there is percentages of magnetic elements, such as the ones that make gems allochromatic. Now, if you notice, I'm not using a lesson planner or anything like that, even though I know about those things. But there is a certain direction I actually am going in my professorial instructions to all of you when we're having all this fun. And if I can lay down some basic chemistry, some basic words, then we can talk at a little bit higher level and you understand what I'm saying. So, allochromatic was one of our trivia questions before. And you have allochromatic and idiochromatic. So, of course, I'll go back over it with you. Allochromatic gemstone is a gemstone that its color comes from an impurity versus from its actual chemical makeup itself. And one of the ones that I use, there could be so many of them. Let's take corundum, which is Al2O3, aluminum oxide. In its pure form, it is perfectly white and clear, and that would give you white or clear sapphire, or, which is what it would be called. If corundum picks up impurities such as chromium, it will become a ruby. Hence, you have your red fluorescence. And therefore, it's called allochromatic because the color comes from an outside impurity, not part of its chemical makeup. In its purest chemical makeup, it's a clear white gemstone, as is so many others, including some very complex ones, including like tourmaline, which would be acrolite. Another allochromatic gem is the beryl family. Beryl in its pure form, clear white as goshenite, but you add a little vanadium or chromium to it, and what do you have? You have emerald, you have iron to it, and you have aquamarine, and so on. So it is the levels of these other outside introduced impurities that will give a gem a color, but it takes such a low percentage of the atomic weight, that's the total weight of the molecular makeup of it, that it's not detectable as far as magnetism goes at the percentages that it takes to color a particular gemstone. Manganese is a magnetic element. Chromium is a magnetic element. Cobalt is a magnetic element. And so I say that because it's used as a part of alloying platinum. So you have platinum cobalt, and the way you can tell you have a cobalt platinum alloy, and I have to know this being a bench goldsmith or a bench jeweler, because it makes a difference whether you're using a platinum iridium alloy or a platinum cobalt alloy. The difference being is the cobalt is slightly magnetic, and you can detect it if you know how. If I get a chance today, I'm going to show you how to detect minute amounts of an element that is present but is not in quantities enough to register, like, say, the iron in an andradite garnet versus not being present in a grossular garnet. Well, I'll show it to you when we get there. Okay, let's get to the, because I have had set aside several science projects, small ones, that I've wanted to get to, so hopefully we can today. The even Dave asked about the crystal project, and I'm going to get to that because I want to do that, and we're going to grow some crystals, just not today. Okay, let's get to the comments, and I'm going to tell everyone right now there was no winner in the trivia contest. So if you remember, it was the What Am I? And I'll show you the two rings. And after we hear from everybody as to what your thoughts as to what they were. So last week's, as part of that, we had two greenish colored rings. And the challenge was to determine which one was which or what, from just a quick look at them. So, all right, Miss Gabby starts us off. Good to hear from Miss Gabby. If you remember, Miss Gabby was the one last week that won the rutilated quartz cabochon. So she says, hello, fellow rock lovers, one and all. Well, I'm glad I forgot to withdraw last week from trivia. I love rutilated quartz. Score. Thank you. That most of the time, if she's about, Miss Gabby often opts out because she probably would win. You know, she is a one that knows a lot of the answers, as does many of others of you. Doesn't have to opt out. No one has to opt out. You can go for it every week if you want. But she didn't put the opt out in last week, and well, the magic of the show returned the favor by her getting it right. And she won. Withdrawing this week, though, even though I'm not confident my answers are correct, going to say tourmaline on the faceted stone. That would be the one on the left, and that is an excellent answer. I'm not going to tell you whether you're right or wrong on that one until we get to the end. And hydrogrossular garnet on the cab. Wow. Very, very reaching deep on that answer. We'll find out if you are correct or not. One reason garnet came to mind was because you were talking about the anniversary of our show, which I believe is on or around May 16th. And my trivia prize for one of the very first shows was a hydrogrossular pendant. Another score, right? Yep, that memory is very accurate right there. All of those pendants were beautiful. The tanzanite and the spessartite were my favorites. Good choices. Also, that large tourmaline stone was fabulous. I wish I knew for sure if it was the rocket pocket. It would look great displayed with a specimen in the pic below, which I am blessed to have in my collection. Going to be on the road a lot these next couple of weeks, so may miss some of the email windows, but I will never miss a show. Stay well, everyone. Miss Gabby. I'm glad you don't miss any of the shows, Miss Gabby. Okay. So, Miss Barbara made a wonderful comment, and we're going to go over her comment. She talks about that tanzanite pendant, and the tanzanite pendant is sold, and whoever bought it really knew just how well and what a great purchase it was. And Miss Barber breaks it down to exactly the way I figured it. So wait till we get to those numbers, and whoever bought that tanzanite pendant, you will feel like you bought more like a 50-cent piece for a buffalo nickel, because that's how good of a value that one was. And of course, the specialty and garnet pendant was amazing. Those tourmaline pendants, truly amazing also. And that large tourmaline, the large green tourmaline. Okay, so you know how exacting I am, and I, from the information I had, it was definitely and very plain and clear there was the Pedernera mine. The crystal specimen you sent, oh, I would give anything to be able to have and possess such a treasure as that. Asa's not here today, Latif is, and if we had time, we didn't have that much time setting up, I would have sent the picture for everyone to see. We may do it in the future because it is a stunning, very classic Pedernera tourmaline crystal, and the color is spot on for exactly this color that this large one is. Now, so the information I had was Pedernera mine, 2001, 2002. And then it had rocket pocket question mark. It was, so when there's a question mark, and if I can't say for certain, I don't put it in there. In doing a little further research, and in the mining and the year being positive of when the stone was mined, there's really and the color being exactly the color of the greens with a little hint of yellow and a little tiny hint of the blue, and often a little bit of gradation in the color. So pretty much they did not work much of anything else except the rocket pocket, because every crystal I saw that was mined in that year, split year, and many of them were shown with a split year, so maybe it had to do with the wet and dry season. Most of the time for us, mining revolves around a winter-summer season. In places like there, it's not a winter-summer situation. Most of the time, it is a rainy season, dry season, which controls mining. So oftentimes, you'll get the split year due to exactly when that season falls. The mining season may fall with the changing of the year in between. And so you'll see that. Now, there wasn't really any I saw coming from the mine that, and if you have to remember, the mine, when you're working in a spot, you're working in one particular spot, and there's not some guy across the hallway across the mine shaft, across the pit, wherever, working on another pocket. Usually, if you are working something so amazing like the rocket pocket, it is all hands on deck, all focus on that, because you're extracting up, could be $1 million worth of value of stones or more, specimens, tremendous value in specimens, something like that. And so what I find is you don't see another mention of any other named pocket, named vein, any other discovery mentioned in that time period except for the rocket pocket. So I could probably say with 99% certainty that that particular stone came from the rocket pocket. The year was certain, and with the question mark next to the words rocket pocket would certainly lead me to believe with the exact match in color. And it is the exact match to that crystal specimen of yours. But the maybe it's meant to be. Here's the funny thing is, it was actually said to me that the stone had been sold, but it wasn't sold yet. It's still available as of this morning. So I don't know if by the time you see this, whether it'll still be available, but it would, especially at the price that I made it, is not going to be around past probably the middle of next week. It's going to go to another vendor, and you'll see it at a much higher price. It can't help but to be at a higher price. Put it that way. So, anyway, that's my opinion on it being from the Rocket Pirate, and it would be a stunning match to go with that set of crystals. And in all honesty, it's not something I'm really trying to sell, especially at that price. But because Miss Gabby, that would go so perfect with the crystals. If I had the crystals, yeah, that would be one of those really, really good matchups that I like to display, a before and after kind of thing. Now remember, what I was thinking is there had to be a crystal that tourmaline 22 karat. And if you missed it, you have to go back and watch last week's show to see a, museum class type, certainly top gem world class, whatever, tourmaline. That 22 karat stone, imagine the crystal it came out of. I want to think that it was maybe a broken piece of one or something. For them to take a stunning crystal like the one that you have and cut it for the gemstone, it would be a tough decision, because I like nature the way she left it, the way it came out of the ground. And even though man can improve upon them amazingly with the skills of faceting, it's still to take a Mother Nature's faceting called crystal and put man's touch to it. I don't know. That'd be a tough one to do. But again, if it was a crystal that came out, terminated right or didn't look right, but wow, what did it look like? That clarity was exquisite for something that size. Okay, so let's see. So stay with the shows, Miss Gabby. Don't want to miss out on anything. Miss Cindy in Pennsylvania says, hello, Rock family. Got the brecciated opal doublets, and they are lovely. Thank you. That was a wonderful show again. One of the things I appreciate about your Shawn made items is you use yellow gold versus white. I think yellow gold makes the gems much more appealing. There is an abundance of gems in white metals out there today. That's true. I think would look so much better in yellow than they are set in white. Trivia: left ring is grossular garnet, right ring is nephrite jade. Okay, so left ring that's the faceted one, and the right ring, which was the cabochon, nephrite jade. Excellent answers to both of those. We'll see how what the end result is. Garage sale finds, rutilated. Remember, Miss Cindy was going to the garage sale that she goes to twice a year that a neighbor has. Garage sale finds rutilated quartz from Brazil, unakite from Virginia, red tiger eye from South Africa, which is usually heated regular golden tiger eye, and you can do it at home. If you want to ever have any fun, take some tiger eye, and in your home oven, you can actually heat treat it. It's really easy, and it really doesn't break or crack up and difficult to mess up. So you just take the temperature up slowly, bring it down naturally. You can just turn the oven off, and that's it. So you can just look at it. But it's fun. It'll actually turn most all a beautiful red. Amethyst from Brazil, Galena, Northeast USA, lepidolite mica, South America, peridot, Arizona, azurite, malachite, unknown locale, fluorite, Morocco, and hematoid quartz from Madagascar. Not anything huge or crazy, but some nice small treasures. Next month is the bigger rock swap and flea market that is my favorite to visit. So much of the off-the-wall rock, mineral gems, geology books, jewelry, and just junk to dig through. Some of that junk has the best hidden gems and treasures if you look hard enough. Love it. People will negotiate on price sometimes or throw in extra goodies. See y'all next week. Cindy in South Central Pennsylvania. What I liked is your comment about junk. I have probably 6, maybe 7 foot lockers. These were the metal foot lockers that actually they came from the shipment from India that I had all the dealers went in on. And so over time, they were so convenient for use, I have used them for other things. Well, it would be, all of you would love just going through these lockers. And whenever I think of something unusual I want to find or sell or show or give away, I start opening these up. And there is so many fun things in there to look at. Beautiful, neat, unusual, unique fossils, and a lot of it's been hand collected, and that's fun. That's fun, especially when you don't look at them, for years, and then it's like a new candy store all over. Miss Elisa in Florida says, "Hello, Professor Shawn, the lovely Raven, GSN crew, and Rock family. Shawn, your craftsmanship speaks for itself and needs no introduction. Amazing." So, with that, I wanted to go back and thank you for that kind comment. I always kept and followed the KISS principle, and that was to keep it simple and stupid. My mom was the first one to teach me that acronym. And it is so true, because when I realized that the biggest and longest lasting, store in our industry, of course, is Tiffany & Company. And their whole premise is simplicity, from the Tiffany Solitaire to the X and O bracelets to the Bean by Elsa Peretti. All of their items are timeless. In other words, the Bean, how does it go out of fashion? It never was in fashion. But if you see a bean, I know it's a Tiffany piece. That's weird enough. And by bean, I mean it looks like a kidney bean. It's weird. But it certainly was popular enough. The X and O, of course, we all know what that means. That's timeless. Will never go out, right? We'll be X and O and our loved ones for a long time to come. The Tiffany Solitaire even is called the Tiffany Solitaire because it is so appropriate and simple, and still the most commonly used style of engagement ring there is, just a diamond, and that's it. So following that and realizing that, my whole focus was always about the gemstone, not even about the diamonds. Diamonds were something to accent the gemstone. In other words, when your eye looks at a piece, I want the eye to go to the gemstone, not to look at all the fluff around it. That's why, even as popular as they are, these rings that they're so popular now and have been for a decade, that have a center stone and halo rings, I guess they call them, and have a halo of diamonds around them. And yes, here's my issue with them. If you give and you spend your hard-earned money on a big diamond, that's what you want to be seen on when someone looks at your fiance's hand or your wife's hand, is the big money you spent on that big diamond, right? At least if it was earth-line, the big money you spent. With the halo design, what you then see is a confusion of brilliance. You cannot easily define what the larger center stone is separate from all the other brilliance around it. And it's hard to really discern whether it's a big stone or whether you're trying to fluff it off and make it look bigger by the little stones. Maybe it really is a big stone and you spent hard-earned money that people can't even easily tell what it is. These kind of things. This is what I made sure my design stayed away from, was that confusion. If you're going to use diamonds around it, use some diamonds that maybe have some color, some yellow stones, some pink, whatever, to set aside the larger ones. That's if you have to have something directly around it. Just a nice, smaller single stone on either side, the 3 stone, with 2 similar sized stones on either side. That achieves what I want. 2 gemstones on either side of a big diamond. That achieves the same thing. But when you get to what I call diarrhea of the design, and that is where you just have way too much of everything going on, not my style. So I appreciate your comment about liking my Shawn made designs. And the other thing is yellow gold. Okay, so I had a stretch of time that was real prolific. And for that time period, that was around late 90s, early 2000s. And even though white gold was becoming popular, it was still, yellow gold was still kind of in, not as much as it, then it really went out and it almost strictly went white gold. But with, I have to agree, with many different gemstones, yellow gold does look better. And tanzanite is one where the color, I think yellow gold sets it off. The white gold is an icy kind of color, tanzanite is, and white gold tends to add to that. Yellow gold tends to enhance the color and separate the stone from the white. I don't know, hard to explain, but thanks for noticing the yellow, because I agree with you. There are many stones that do look better in yellow over white gold. And even though white gold became by far and still is the predominant metal, color of metal, especially with platinum coming down half or less than half of what gold is, it made platinum affordable. And again, which is a white metal. So there were a lot of reasons that white has taken over, but still, many gems look better in the yellow. So great comment there. Miss Elisa goes on to say, Shawn, your craftsmanship speaks for itself and needs no introduction. Amazing. I wish I could buy them all. My answers to this week's trivia are the one on the left, moldavite. I want to say savorite, but I'm going to listen to my gut. That's always a one to follow. Follow your gut. And on the one on the right, prehnite. Wow, excellent answer on that one, because what I noticed was the stone on the right had a cloudy kind of look to it, just like what prehnite always has. There's no such thing as a prehnite that's just, totally clear like a quartz or something like that. Tend to have, like rose quartz, that little bit of fogginess to it. So a couple of really good answers right there. So let's see. You said the one on the left being moldavite, staying away from savorite. Okay. My favorite item of the week was the kunzite and the amazing 22 karat tourmaline. Good choices. I'm excited to see what you have in store for us next week. Take care and have a great week, Miss Elisa. Mr. Anthony in Massachusetts. Hello, all. Great show. I'm learning quite a bit about the geology of my city, a place I once thought was barren of interesting minerals. I actually found something interesting just by a short walk in the woods. And that's what you and I talk about, Anthony. The way how you leave it at the bottom. How I always say, keep your eyes down, walk on the ground. Quick picture, the area is densely populated with small pockets of wooded areas, which also include the gravel quarry that I mentioned in an earlier post. I believe it is a softball-sized specimen of feldspar with a few tiny vugs that contain tiny crystals in creamy white and pink veins. Exciting, isn't it? Yes, it is. Stay tuned. I will. And it is in those little vugs used with a magnifier where you can see these stunning crystals, and many, many things on Mindat are very small in size. They're just really blown up and great pictures taken in. It looks like, dazzling, but actually they can be quite small. So, yeah. Trivia, the one on the left, moldavite. The one on the right, prehnite. Okay, so the same two answers, moldavite and prehnite. Eyes down and you find softball-sized spar. How about that? Keep on looking there, Mr. Anthony. Yes, you have a lot of geology around you. Miss Barbara in Brooklyn. Hi, Professor Shawn, Raven, GSA crew, and the whole Rock family. Wow, what a show and what a tanzanite. That was a gift. Okay, whoever got the tanzanite, let's listen to how Barbara broke this down, because amazingly, and not so amazingly, because Barbara's pretty clever, she did it exactly the way I figured it. So listen to this. That was a gift. Take it from one who bought a 13-karat loose stone at $792 a carat in 2006. Okay, 2006. That stone was around, I think, what was it, 1999? I think I made the piece in that time frame. Figuring $500 wholesale for the diamonds, which of course, correctly so, because remember, this is going to be an estate piece. So labor is never something added in. And when you figure wholesale on the diamonds, you figure less than the actual wholesale if you were to go out and buy the stone. Because if I had to actually buy the stones in that clarity and quality, it would be more around easily $600 to $750 for the stones. Okay, so figuring $500 wholesale for diamonds, $725 scrap value on 18 karat, especially have you seen that? Wow, how gold has kept going up on 18 karat. That leaves $203 per carat for a deep blue, almost round tanzanite with red flash in a nice, lively cut. The sales rep said it was gone. One of the family got a real deal and a half. Congratulations. And they did. And I did verify that, yes, the tanzanite pendant is sold. And I thank the client for that. But I also want to point out to the client that excellent choice. You really did well on getting that stone at that kind of value. And like I had said before, what I am offering these items for does not represent the actual value of these stones. Not even close. That stone could not even be bought by a big cash buyer in Tucson. That kind of quality, there's no way that even a big player could get that quality and that kind of cut for that kind of price per carat. And remember, you paid nothing on the labor to make it, which I remember when I made that, it was labor alone to custom make that piece was close to $1,000, which would be reasonable even if it was 25 years ago or so. So you save that, you got the beautiful diamonds at a discounted price, and the gold with no premium over the value. So well worked out, Miss Barbara, on your numbers. You did it exactly right. And here's what I did. I wanted to make sure that no matter where, how, or what you did to find a tanzanite of that quality, that there was no way you could ever find it for even twice, basically twice. I was looking to come in on the tanzanite at about half of what you might find it for from a wholesale dealer if you pay cash and bought quantity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Which I don't even know even if it's even comes to even that much. Maybe even a 203 a carat or whatever, maybe a third of what it might cost now in a wholesale type of market. That kind of quality I have not priced. It is that just pure blue with the red flash, and that is extremely desirable. And like Miss Barbara said, with a very lively cut. So, no one has owned up to who got it, but you did well, and I am appreciative that you recognize the value that that piece was. Miss Barbara goes on to say the 2-foot-high Jonas Mine rubellite specimen you spoke of is named, and then she corrected it from what she wrote, Taruga. It is 85 centimeters tall and 66 kilograms, which is times 2.2. So, well, rounded up to 150 pounds. Wow. And was brought to Tucson in 2018 by someone of Green Mountain Minerals. It was purchased privately, but was loaned to the newly opened American Museum of Natural History Mineral Galleries in New York City to be displayed for 5 years. I got to see it. All right. As to the trivia, the left ring looks like a checkerboard moldavite, and the right cabochon looks like an epidote. Great answer. Be well all. Miss Barbara from Brooklyn. And yeah, so then she corrects the spelling of the chunk of red rubellite. I saw that, and it was behind, well, it was a good friend of mine, the friend that owns the Imperial Topaz mine in Brazil. So he actually knew everybody involved with it, and they were spinning that thing around. It was most amazing thing. I sat there with my jaw dropped, and they were talking about it, cutting it up. I couldn't believe it, but apparently it didn't get cut up, and that was a truly stunning and something you would only see out at a show like that. Okay, so let's zoom the camera in on the two items that were in question. The two rings. Okay, so this is the one on the left. These are both compliments of the Raven because I don't get to own these kind of rings. Only she has the really cool stuff. And what I did was, for a moment, I backlit it. And if we look at that, that was the giveaway. If you look at that backlit real quick, what you can see are some wavy lines. You see the waviness to that? There we go. You can see that very well displayed. And bubbles. Both of the signs between the bubbles and those wavy lines are exactly what you would get if it was a glass type of, if you were pouring glass. You can see the bubbles. And this is nature's form of glass, known as a tektite, or in this case, a moldavite. So moldavite would be correct. It's named after the area of where it, the meteor, right, well, the tektite, well, it was a meteor at first, hit the Earth, sending debris up into the air, into the atmosphere, known as space, but not far enough, and it came back to the Earth in a large strewn field. And they still are collecting it to this day. The valuable stuff fell in a place called Besanica, a little watery pond, creating some really unusual colored shapes. But this is considered a large moldavite. Now, this one here. Okay, well, you know I had to pick it prehnite. Was an excellent answer because it looks just like a prehnite, but incorrect. But a great answer, very educated answer. Epidote, another very good answer and very potential one. This stone always found a little cloudy. And yes, it is my birthstone, so therefore it is a hydroglossular garnet. Hydroglossular garnet. And there you go. So, no one got them both right. So a lot of great answers there, but nobody getting them both for no gift. I had a really good gift this week. I won't tell you what it was. We don't want to rub it in, but yeah, we'll try again next week. We'll see what today's trivia is if we get that far. Okay, so let me put those away, and I'll be right back with the start of the show. This is not something you've seen me showcase before. I don't even know if I've had a loose stone that I have had to offer. Blue pectolite, right? No, it could be called that. But in a time before 1974, going back about 100 years ago or so, was when it was first discovered. It was supposed to be a the story goes, a priest and had discovered this deposit. And I believe he had a daughter named Laura, and he called the stone Larimar, or maybe Larimar. Either way, it meant Lar of the sea. Mar in Spanish means sea. Dominican Republic, but this is Spanish speaking. Now, you have heard of Dominican Republic. It's famous for two things. This, Larimar, and amber with insects. That's the two big geological things that are interested in. Now, this set is a really amazing opportunity because it is complete. It is even with this bracelet. As you can see, this is a 14 karat gold bracelet, and it is nicely done because it's flexible. So it can easily, let me just show you, flex right over my arm, and you can see roughly how that looks. And it has, even though a safety, or you can call it a safety, you can use it or not use it, but it can flip over to here. Actually, change there, and so it can clip right to that ring if you want to pull it in tighter, or it can clip to out here if you need it looser, or you can take it off and not use it at all because it's spring, so it should stay on. So you have a bracelet with a large, really nice quality. So Larimar, if you're not familiar with it, this is pretty much what you want. You like that nice color blue, and with this kind of almost honeycomb type of pattern to it is desirable. Here are the earrings. And if you notice, they all have what I call that little hat rim bezel. So nice 14 karat gold, and you can see it has a nice rim to the back, post, and just a nice classy rim with a nice quality Larimar. Here's the pendant. Again, nice matching, good size veil, nice hat rim bezel around it, nice framework behind it, and that way you're just not paying too much money for metal when you don't need it. You're going to love the price. And then the ring. Look at the ring. Now, I left the ring guard on here because you might be able to use it. I think it's roughly around a size 6.5 to 7 if it was to be removed. And you can just remove it easily yourself with any kind of pair of pliers or even fingernail clippers to remove. But if you want to use it and adjust it, you can just push down on that and bend it to make it larger, or pull up on this little piece right there to take up more gap and make it smaller without having to worry about sizing it. So I'll put it on my hand. I don't have my ruby ring on me, but you can see relative to my finger roughly how large that is. So here is a rare, really rare opportunity to get the entire ensemble, which is unique to say the least, especially when you can get all of this at the price that gold is. The everything you see, which is 20 carats, was a very conservative weight on the Larimar. I wasn't real sure. So Larimar, in case you're not familiar with it, it's a sodium calcium silicate, hydroxysilicate, and it was lost. It was discovered like 100 years ago, and then, believe it or not, the discovery went unnoticed and undiscovered and became lost. It was only rediscovered in 1974. It is only mined one place in the world. Now remember, Larimar belongs to what is known as the pectolite family. And one place in the world, it's the Filipinas Larimar mine. And so that is the name that this comes from. And there's a museum type of place there. And the information given as of just recently, was that the mine has been closed since 2023 for unknown reasons. So, for all, and I was wondering why I didn't see that much of this material in the marketplace anymore. And now that explains it. If it's only mined in one place in the world and that mine is closed, well, guess what? The supply is over with. So that was pretty interesting to find out. And who knows how long it's going to be closed for. So coloring, they believe to be due to copper. Due to copper. So that was interesting as well. Some copper native copper has been found with the discovery, which is pretty interesting in a volcanic island nation. And it's of a volcanic origin is how this is formed as well. All right, so I actually broke it down. So I had to come up with some figures as far as the bracelet, the earrings, the ring, the pendant, and everything. And then I discounted everything, and then I discounted it some more, and I came up with a price for everything that you see. Think of a price in your head. Add it up roughly what you think it should be in your head, and then tell me if what you thought of was not more than what I'm going to tell you now. Probably, if you actually gave things the right amount of value, just this piece and maybe the pendant, you should get to the value I'm going to tell you for everything. $878 for everything you see. I know. I knew Latif was going to be saying, "Oh, I got an OMG from back in the corner," except it wasn't an OMG. Yeah. So he knows what this stuff goes for. He knows what it takes. All the gold, the metal used, and remember, each piece, the metal, including the earrings, had to be handmade for that particular stone. For that particular stone, due to the difference in the cut and the height of the cabochon, etc. So, and they're beautiful polish. There's no wear on the stones. It's just really, really an excellent value. So let's see. Before I discounted, I figured like the bracelet at $288. Seriously, the earrings $228 for the pair of earrings for the pair. $228. So that's like $110 each. Okay. So the ring $188. The pendant $178. All that came to $882, and I just marked it down $878. So that's kind of roughly how I got to everything. And I can tell you, you're not going to find a better opportunity than that. All right. So, now, I'm going to take this down. I tell you what. Let me have a moment, and I'll be right back. We're going to do an experiment that I've been wanting to do and show you for quite some time. All right. Now, let's say you found a stone. You have no idea what it is. You have some ideas, but you don't know. So you take what you have for your different tools that you may have, and you may not have anything real fancy or expensive, but it doesn't necessarily take all that to determine what something is. Okay, so we talked about how to determine with a magnet things that are kind of easier to figure out, that have a higher iron content, right? And the something like almandine garnet will jump to the magnet because it's such a high iron content, or able to be as you can see here with this crystal, you can of a garnet crystal, almandine, so you can actually drag it with the magnet. All right, you can. So it's a drag response. Well, that's because iron is part of its makeup in its own, as part of its formula. It's an iron garnet. Something like peridot, though, is a magnesium silicate and technically has no iron in it, but it mingles, just like the garnet family mingles, with another mineral called phaolite. Peridot is actually a type of forsterite, but we won't go into that because they're chemically the same thing. Phaolite is a analog or a very similar formula to peridot, except it is the iron version of it versus the magnesium version that that peridot is. So about 10% though of peridot intermingles with the phaolite. So you have some iron in the peridot, but it's also what is giving peridot its color. Whether it's more yellow or more green, it has to do with the iron content. But technically, there is no iron in a peridot formula. So how do you know if you have a peridot and that's not slag, which is glass left over from iron smelting or ore smelting, which is quite prevalent all over different places, including here in North Georgia. It could be tourmaline. It could be nothing. It could be Coke bottle glass, right? All right. But if you know that peridot has a very low content of iron and it doesn't even have a drag response with a magnet, there's a way to measure micro percentages of magnetic weight to a gem. And it becomes really important. And this is how you do it. You take you take a gemstone, and all of you have a gem tube. And whether you use the deep side of the gem tube or the lid of a gem tube, depends on the size stone you have and how much you want to display. So you can use that size or the lid, which is what I have right there. So I have a peridot sitting on the lid. Now what this is the lid is floating in water. You don't see it right there, but that's just, see there's water in there. What that does is it completely removes any type of friction that creates the inability of something. In other words, with the additional friction, it's going to be less likely to be able to be dragged across a surface, whether the surface is really difficult, like what would be the felt surface to the felt pad I use, or whether it's this wooden surface that has less because it's polished and shiny, right? But all of them are still going to have that amount of friction. To remove that altogether is you float what you want to check on a lid on water. When you float it on water, that removes any amount of friction, and you can measure, not in a exactly quantitative way, but in a qualitative way, you can measure if there is a magnetic element present in the stone, often then giving away what the answer may be. So as we come away, you're going to see the tray, and I have my neodymium magnet that you're familiar with, the N52, which is the standard one used. And now, without, here is a regular peridot right there. And if you can see that getting this close to it, no response, no response, no response, no response. And there should be a response by now if there was any serious amount of iron present in the peridot, like there would be a garnet. Now let's take it and move it over here. And let's see, when we remove the friction, if we can get a response from it. and thereby determining if there is iron in there. And look at that. Look at that. From that distance away, you can see it pulling towards the magnet. Let me try that off. And I can pull it all the way across. You get a capillary action if you touch the magnet to the water. So you don't want to do that. You want to keep it up and above the water. And presto, look at that. By doing that, being able to remove the friction factor, you can measure whether a emerald has vanadium or chromium in it. You can you can measure a spessartine garnet, manganese content in it. Look at that. Without touching it. Isn't that neat? It gives you a whole nother level of accuracy in being able to determine magnetic elements in allochromatic stones. In other words, stones that get their color from micro percentages of magnetic elements that could not be measured otherwise. So you could see from the same distance away, from the one on the paint versus the one floating on the water, just how much better of a see, no response. And if we go and do it the same distance away, of course, we're going to be able to pull that like a little boat right across there. You know, that's why the magnetic rail, they're genius. Magnetic rail systems, the systems for launching jets off of aircraft carriers, all kinds of other systems are based on principles of magnetism and that invisible attraction. We won't get into all that as to why and exactly what happens. We're just going to look at how we can use it in ways that can help determine what something is. So let's go back. Here is that beautiful dodecahedron and a really well-defined dodecahedron crystal. And so it will actually respond. Look at it. It takes, because of the size and the weight, and on that, it has to be pretty close. Look at that. And it's still not drawing to it, right? Look at that. Still not. Only that close. Now, this is already an almandine garnet. I know that. And with the that much iron content in it, we have to get this thing to float. Let's see if it floats. I don't have it quite centered. Does it float? Maybe I sunk the ship. You sunk my battleship. I used to love that game. Of course, when you had three other competitive brothers, it was something that became that and Risk. Love to play the game. It seems more real life. I think I'm sinking the boat. It is. It is. Okay, smaller crystal. Let's get a smaller boat. Let's see. I don't think that one will work. Everybody's going to want my parcel. You know, I offered these some time ago, and nobody bought them all. But I bet everybody would want them right now. Here we go. This is what we need. This is where you use the bigger boat. There you go. We need a bigger boat. Dad, go. Okay, need more water in the ocean. Let's see what we have. Let's see if we can get this guy to move anywhere. You sunk my battleship. I did. Hold on. Let me get a smaller battleship.
No, that's the new.
Ah, there we go. I think it's barely skimming the bottom. Hey, you know, this is far too much fun to get paid for. All right, let's see if we can float this battleship. It's on the ground. This thing is on the ground. It's all about displacement. It's all about displacement. You know, I have something else here I was curious about. Remember, we talked about sapphire. Here, let me give you another lesson because this was going to be part of it. I also had a ruby that I was going to show that was treated and was going to give you a lesson about that, but that may have to wait for another day. Shawn's playing with his crystals now. Okay, listen. Neodymium magnet to the rescue. Whoop. There we go. We are dragging it, even though it wants to just jump towards it across the water. You get the idea. It's not centered, but you get the right kind of lid. You can have all that set up, and it will work flawlessly for the minutest amount of magnetic elements. It will give you a response that you would never get anywhere else. Oh, you know what else I noticed? Different faces of the crystal react differently. As you can see, that's part of it. Some actually look like it's pushing it away. So there's a whole reason to that, especially in this shaped crystal, but we won't get into that part either. Just know that using magnets is an amazing way to learn a lot about a stone that you have that you may not know a lot about, but a simple magnet, an N52, will do the trick. Okay, let's get to some goodies here. So since I offered those peridot, I may, let's see, get to those later in the show. All right, let me put this and clean this wet mess up, and I'll be right back. This is a collection, and I don't think you could ever put together another one like it. You don't even probably see the third crystal there. It disappears. Look at this. Look at this, what I have for you. All right, first, I love this. Look at this. This is a beautiful, beautiful quality pink tourmaline. And then it has a really neat green core. Look at that green core. It only is at the very base of it, but still, it gives you a different look that you normally don't see in tourmalines. And then the clarity. Look at this guy. That would certainly facet a pink gem if you wanted to, but it is way more attractive as a crystal. Then look at the Japanese rainbow androdite. Now this is a special piece because it is a multiple-faced crystal piece, and it's not like a dodecahedron. So this would have been the part attached to the matrix. But in each of these faces, you are going to get these amazing plays of color. Look at that. That we talked about and have to do with the ever so slightly different compositions of the andronite and grossular. So we were just talking about that. Look at those colors in each of those faces. And it is the light diffracting through those look at that, slightly different chemical makeup of the layers. Boy, look at that. That's what really attracted me to this particular crystal was all those little faces have a play of color. Look at that. And it just jumped out at me as I turned it in every different direction. It was a kaleidoscope, of from nature, and there was just really no stopping the number of different angles. Let me see one thing also, which I hadn't actually done. If Dave could work his magic there, and ever showed you really the translucency through one of these garnets and the body tone of color, which is, look at that, yellows to browns. So you can see a grossular and the androdite component to it. And then let's look at this light for a minute and see what kind of colors that you have, because you're also going to get a different play of color from different wavelengths of light and of course different angles. That is a beautiful gem. Then here is probably my favorite of the three. If you didn't notice it, here it is. Look at this. This is the only one of its kind I've ever actually seen. It is a twinned, so in other words, two intersecting crystals, doubly terminated. So both crystals are terminated at each end, and they are a phantom. In other words, you can see the cloudy. Wow. Never leave a neodymium magnet around when you have a whole bunch of metallic items. You can see the phantom of the interior cloudy portion. Okay, so here you can see the pointed at both ends. Here, this is pointed at both ends. So there's your double termination. And here is your twinned crystal at a 90-degree intersection, which is pretty interesting in itself. It is small but mighty in its uniqueness. It really is. And Raven would call it a crumb, but I found it to be a much more elevated in interest than a crumb. So, a collection of 3 crystals, and certainly unique to anybody's collection, all 3. And believe it or not, for just what the 2 would be, throwing in the quartz, make all 3 only $78. Only $78 for all 3, and that is a lot of value when you consider that you have the rainbow androdite and that beautiful, beautiful tourmaline included in the batch. Okay, next, let's look at okay, let's do this. Let's look at item 1175124. 1175124, and this guy is a perfect item because we were just talking about it. Now, when I first, it's been a number of years ago, but when I first got when the beautiful, beautiful Pakistani peridot hit the market, I couldn't believe it because it was crystallized peridot. most peridot I had seen was of the Arizona variety, which looks like this. The Arizona variety is peridot that form in the little vugs of rhyolite and volcanic origin, just like you would find the copper sunstones in Oregon. They formed in a rhyolite, just like you would find the opal in Mexico. You have that where the silica fills in the random unusual openings. Okay, so picture lava rocks from your grill. And even though those openings are smaller, you can still imagine the same thing on a scale just a little bit maybe bigger, where all those little puffy little openings and scalloped little openings in lava rock, well, those are all natural. That's natural. And that's why you get these non-crystalline shaped
I turned the game on.
peridot. You have these non-crystalline shaped pieces, and that's why. Because they're filling in these different little unusual openings in them. Now, the Pakistani peridot were beautiful crystal forms, which I had not seen, and I had sold a whole bunch of those. So when I first got one, and the guy said, "Yes, it's peridot with rutile." And I said, "Rutile?" I said, "That's not rutile." He goes, "I know that, and only you know that, but Americans don't know that." I laughed. I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "If I tell them what it really is." "You mean Ludwigite?" I said, "Yes." He said, "They would not have any idea what it is, but they know rutile. So I tell them what they know. It's rutile." I had to laugh. I just had to laugh because it is not rutile. Let me show you this gem. And here is, look at this guy. This is a Pakistani peridot. And how do you know when it's a Pakistani peridot? Well, there's a couple ways. For one, color, if you see enough of it, can be a giveaway, especially when it comes to Burmese material, which looks really premium and different. But here was the real tell. All right. Now, also, checkerboard cutting helps hide inclusions. Peridot almost is always included. So that's just something that, you can not be too uptight about is inclusions, because you're going to find that. But here is the giveaway. Was right there. The dark needle inclusion. Let me hold this right. Yeah, there we go. Well, it's going to spin around. So, okay, here. Now, let me get another pair of tweezers and show you right there. That black needle inclusion that looks like a black tourmaline crystal. It's the only one in this one. Some of them have so much, it's as much peridot as this Ludwigite. But in this one, there was only one crystal. But that's all you need. That's all I needed to tell me origin. Now, this is a big stone. And for the crystal that it would have taken to cut one this big, it would have been a quite a nice size and a great clarity, because most of the times they do have inclusions of one form or another. This is a fantastic collector's gem, really, for one this size. And Ernst Ludwig, who was an Austrian professor of chemistry at the University of Vienna, is who it was named for. And, it amazed me, 1842 to 1915. So this guy, even back then, 58, 68, 73 years old he lived. That's a long time during that period. Peridot belongs to the olivine group, and it's a magnesium silicate. And Ludwigite is a magnesium iron. uh, borate. So it has boron and oxygen in it. So magnesium and iron in it. Now, let's see. That Ludwigite isn't going to have enough iron in it to make a difference. But let's see if the iron content in the peridot. Oh, look at that! Has enough phaolite that even not on water, we are getting a little bit of a pickup factor or a drag factor. As you can see, it is wanting to turn it or drag it across the glass, which the glass, of course, doesn't have much friction, so that's absolutely possible. It is not the peridot doing it. It is the percentage of phaolite that is mingling with the peridot, just how garnets mingle together and could give you a response if you had an almandine pyrope. If you had an almandine pyrope, it's called a rhodolite, and you'll get a response due to the almandine part, the iron that is in the almandine part. Same thing that has happened with this. You have phaolite, which is the analog. In other words, the same thing except the iron component. Instead of a magnesium silicate, it's an iron silicate, and it is the iron from the phaolite mixing with the magnesium silicate of the peridot that gives you enough iron to get that. But it also would be enough iron that it could tell you that and separate this greenstone from others. And let me show you one other thing. Arizona peridot. Look at the color. Here's what I mean by color. When you get to see enough of a gem. If you have comparisons and do the comparisons and lock those thoughts in your mind over time of color. That's why the first thing I said, I'd be able to tell that was a Pakistani peridot from the color. It is a completely different color than an Arizona peridot. And unless I put the two side by side for you right there, you would have maybe debated me on that. But you can see how different they are now. And it is going to be a iron that creates and causes most of the yellow in peridot. And you can see right there, actually, that the Arizona stones had a stronger drag response, even the one that was more yellow, this one, than the one that was more green. The more yellow, the higher the iron content in general when it comes to peridot. All right, so I could go on, but that is some general knowledge and chemistry regarding the peridot, which is, of course, can be found in meteorites as well as the mineral olivine. Let's look at item 117-6024.
Felony?
Oh, yeah. The price, absolutely. Let's take these two away. Let me give you the price of this. I got so excited about the lesson, I forgot about the price. You're going to love this, especially for the size of this stone, which I have as, I couldn't read, 9.92 carats. Let me look up there at the graphic. Almost 10 carats. And this is going to be $38. Only $38. Wow. That is wow indeed. And a fantastic value, needless to say. Now, next, let's look at 117-6024. I have another jewel, of course. A lot of your favorite stone, and certainly mine for a lot of reasons. My son's birthstone, my mom's birthstone. What do I have here for you? Look at this. Look at this. And this is another incredible boulder opal known as Koroit opal. It's from a certain area of Queensland, Australia, where you get these unusual patterns in the boulder. This is particularly unique because I like that back though on the back edge. It really cuts down on chipping and nicking. This is almost like an opal nodule or a knobby that they split because you can see the opal's just in the middle, and it's really nicely cut around the shape of the opal in the middle. I like that. Look at all the colors in this. This is a nice large size. You can see in my hand, this would make a beautiful pendant, a great wire wrap piece, and we still have Andrew that can do the wire wrapping for you if you want. And if it doesn't sell, I may actually consider this being a piece for him to wire wrap. Some wonderful, wonderful colors on display. And this type of opal I actually haven't seen very much, where you have a lot of silica and very little iron stuff. I like that. I have it at a outstanding opportunity as I'm putting the peridot. How about this for that beautiful opal? And remember, this kind of we're back to opal. It's not a peridot. It's an opal. And a whole nother price point for sure. But even at that, I am going to offer that gem for only $118. Only $118 on that. And that's exceptional for that size stone. Now, let me show you item number 4. Okay, someone's going to like that because that one was one of the freebies that no one won, but you would have wanted to. I can tell you what it was. Okay, let's look at 117-57-24. Okay, now this is from the Made in the USA collection and some place you would not imagine. Burrow Creek. If I said that, I wonder if you would exactly know where I would be talking about. Burrow Creek. Check this out. Dendritic agate. Any idea? Look at this material. And wow. Burrow Creek. Dendritic material. You would think of everywhere but where it's actually from. This is from Arizona. Arizona. And it's dendritic agate. And those colors, which is iron oxide, so hematite usually, and then the darker material is usually a manganese oxide. So you kind of have both of those colors in these. You could use these as matched, ladies. You could use these as fingernails. You actually could. You technically, if you had a lapidary in the house that you could burrow out. Get it? Burrow out. Burrow Creek. Okay, that was a weak one. But you could actually concave that and fit it right over that. You know, Shawn, you lost, right? I know. Long time. But look at that. Look at how beautiful those red dendrites actually are. That's kind of neat. And then again, on this one, wonderful. And from a very unusual locality. Now, they say Burrow Creek. Burrow Creek is an area. It's not one specific area. It's kind of like there's a camping area. There's a big area to walk around, and it is a well, that's why they say Burrow Creek area. It's kind of spread out, and
Clean that table.
yeah. So, all right, I'm going to clean this glass off. I'm going to tuck these away, and I'll be right back.
No price?
Oh yeah, the price, that would help. I'm not doing well with that today. How about this? For both, only $38. $38 for both. Wow, that's a deal. Try to find something from Burrow Creek. Good luck. Those are beauties. Anyway, something that nice. All right, I'll be right back. Look at that. I mean, that looks like, if it was red, like capillary blood cells moving through the veins. Must be, I told the team it must be Vulcan blood. Green blood right there. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that neat? That is in motion. If you look, now that is a choroid opal, and it is those little patterns that says that it is so. And if you see just the slightest turning of it, and you see all that motion moving in between, in all the little silica lines, that look at that. Look at that. That's why I love opal. No two opals ever look alike. And boy, you can get something like this that is, well, one of a kind. One of a kind. Now, look at the back of that is, look at, for one thing, a beautiful polish. So this actually has a great polish for this material. The back is just nice, solid iron stone. You can see the opal comes around the edge even. That's, oh, look at that. This is striking, especially when you hear how little I'm asking for it. It's one of those, good luck finding another one at this kind of a deal. I love this stuff. I love it. Love it, love it. Here we go. Price on it? I really don't know why I made it so cheap. Oh well, $67. $67. If you saw that for $167, I would not say that you overpaid. That stone easily in opal shops, and of course I've been to Australia, I've been in New South Wales. You should see in somewhere like Sydney, Australia, at an opal shop, that's what they call them, how much something like that goes for in their own country. Of course, they rip it off the tourists doing it, but it would easily be 3 to 4 times that amount. And buyer beware. All the stones you see, if you cannot see the backs or the size of them, they'll be set in bezel set. And a ex-business partner of mine actually worked in one for a year. And he said they intentionally bezel set the doublets. Here's a warning going out right from the inside story. A person that worked in the opal shops and someone that I trusted very well. I helped him get his residency in Australia. And yeah, he was astounded to find out that that was one of the marks. Now, granted, he worked, it was a, considered a tourist opal shop, but, it was being sold as a solid opal. Nothing was said about it being a doublet. When you cover up the sides and the back, you have, especially just the sides is all you have to cover. You have no way to tell. No way to tell unless you really, 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 really know your stuff. Yeah. One thing, way to tell is they are seldom ever domed. I actually have one. I'm here. You know what? I'm going to give this away for free. Believe it or not. And I'm going to use it right now for a lesson stone. I may change my mind about it being a free item though. Because Latif is probably going to freak. Okay, here's a lesson stone though. I am going to show you a mind-blowing opal. Look at this. Look at this stone. And if that was set in a bezel, there is no way you would know what it is exactly because of the way it's cut on top. Now, here is what gives it away when you're able to see the edge, because you can see the backing, which is either a black onyx, it could be being Australian black jade that they have there, which I think would work really well. But here is the good thing about this particular stone and why I debate whether I should sell it or give it away. This is not, usually they do a doublet when the opal fire part is really, really thin. And then oftentimes they'll cap it with a quartz dome or something like that, or just leave it as a doublet. Well, you have the dyed epoxy here, that's that grayish area. But what makes this different is they took a thin, but not completely thin, layer of opal and they backed it with the black part. But look at the clear part. The clear part is the opal and it is really thick. They could have left it that way, and what you would have had would be a transparent, beautiful piece of opal, but it would not have reflected the light as much because you would have seen right through it, but still it would have had some stunning color. And what they're doing, what you see with that crease, that's just where some sand would have been. They are just cutting out the sand. This is a stunning. You look at the thickness of the actual opal, and it's not another dome. You can see fire. If this was a non-precious portion, you would not be able to see color through the side. It would be dead from the side. You can see that fire goes through this entire portion. So everything that you see in this that is not the black backing is opal. So this is another way that, again, if this was bezel set all the way around, you would not know. And of course, they back them also. They put gold behind here so you can't see the back and you can't see the side. How else would you be able to tell? Now, it would be these little spots here that is air. That would help someone like me be able to tell. But in most cases, no. This is still, as a doublet, a very valuable doublet due to the thickness of the opal, of the layer of precious fire opal. And wow, the color that you get out of this is remarkable, just remarkable. So anyway, that was just I want to show you the importance of looking at, being able to see the side of an opal and the difference it can make in assessing value and what it really is. So even in places you would think they'd be straight up, like an opal shop in Sydney, no. Nope, it is truly buyer beware everywhere you go. All right, let's look at item number 117-6124. And okay. Yeah. Did I give you? Yeah, 117-6124. Yeah. All right. Here we go. Just a nice classic pair of opal. You don't get to see just a regular old run-of-the-mill Cooper Petey pair too often, but here you have them, and let me show these to you. They are calibrated in size, so and get some of the fuzz off of them. You can see just what you would normally find in many opal rings. And this was what was often used, was this kind of grade opal. And they actually show better. Let me try something here. Than I'm seeing them right now. Whoops. And
So now it's done.
Yeah, I'm seeing all the colors now. Yeah, there we go. Look at that, and at the different angles. Yeah, there's quite a lot of color in these. They don't exactly match one another, but boy, they do have the color. Um, Overall, it's amazing though if you actually take something like this and make a doublet out of them, how much brighter they actually become for color. Doublets are quite the thing. Um, so how about a pair of these guys? A pair of them um, for only, why not? I'm going to do them at $18. $18 for both, as I like to say. Now, those it's really crazy how much you would actually see those sell for in the market and even on the internet. Quite surprised. Now, let's look at item number 117 5624. 117 5624, and we have this guy. Look at this. This is I'm running low. I had gotten a good bit of this a number of years ago, and I have been selling all of you most all of it, and I'm only down to not much left. So if you want any of it, you better get in it now. This is stunning. That world class lapis. World class. And you have incredible color. You have the pyrite, which I really, really like. And let me get this wet so you get to see the wet look, which is how it's going to look when it's polished. So it's every bit fair. That's why if you actually go to any kind of shows or anything, they usually have spray bottles next to slabs or whatever material you're looking at. If the slabs already are in buckets of water, they because it'll give you the wet look is how it will look polished and finished. You have incredible colors here. The pyrite. I love the pyrite. And this has some wonderful color for pyrite. I love it. And then, of course, you have some calcite mixed in. A lot of times, oh, look at the dendrites. Look at the dendrites right there. Huh, wouldn't that be neat to cut a cabochon? A lot of times this material will fluoresce, but not all the time. And remember, lapis lazuli is a name that actually is not even accepted anymore, believe it or not, because they found out that lapis is actually a sulfur-dominant alwine, which I like to say that name. It was named after a alwine, a actual person. And this particular piece I really like. I just happen to really like that. For sorry saying, where the majority of the world's lapis is mined. Price on this guy is which you could use as a specimen, or you could cut part of it off to create where it stands up on its own, you know, like where it would be like this or something. And the portion you cut off, then you could use to cut cabochons or whatever else you would want. But it certainly lends itself to doing other things to it. Whereas a crystal, if it was crystallized, you don't want to seldom ever mess with a crystal or disturb it from the shape that it already is in. But in the case of lapis, something like this, yeah, you can saw it up any way you want and without feeling like you're destroying something of value. $44 on this guy. Only $44. An excellent value. The Boy, I tell you what, I was just looking at the free items I had put together, and need for you guys to win some of them because I got some really good free items I want to give away. That opal though, might have to keep that, being my favorite stone and all. Actually, when I was looking at it, I was wondering when I got to look at it again, and then I looked at my notes, and that is actually a Mexican opal. And that even makes the value even more so. Because when you get that crystal clear color like that, I only find that in the little knobbies of the rhyolite. And that's what we were talking about, the opal in the rhyolite. And that's what you find with it. So that was, you get that kind of brilliance. Item number 115, 9324. 115, 9324. Yeah, that Mexican crystal opal that comes out of the those rhyolite pieces is remarkable in its brightness like that. But they only usually end up to be small little pieces that you find. All right, so you saw earlier there was a single tourmaline crystal as part of that set of three. Well, look at this one. I have another one, and you would think that it came from the same crystal, except look at how big the green core is in this guy. This is, and then it has this little sidecar crystal right there, and it has a striking pink color tone and clarity to it. Let's look at this thing right there. Look at that. And there we go. Isn't that beautiful? And then look at that. That is cool. That's neat. And you just wonder how all that happens. How it forms, the different chemicals, different elements it takes to produce the different colors, etc. Thank you, sir. So here is this crystal, and tell you what, you get it in the suspension box, even if it does want to be suspended. How about let's put it on sale. Let's make it, this is silly, but let's do it anyway. Let's make it only $28. $28 for that. And a beautiful, beautiful collector's piece indeed. Now, oh yeah. Here, speaking of collector's pieces, let's go over a couple real beauties. 115, 6524. If you do not have one of these in your collection, then you need one. Look at this. And let me get tweezers. Here is demortierite, which you're familiar with in other manners, often called the blue jean stone, because in its cabochon form, it looks very much like blue jeans color. And so you can see the shape. The demortierite, the little micro crystals in this, completely fascinating. And when you get to see them up close with magnification, it is a world of its own. Let's see, right up here, if I can hold the two together. Wow. Look at that world. There we go. There's look around the edges of it. You could really see the crystallization. Sorry about that. Drifting a little bit there. That's a beauty. There we go. Now you can see the fibers crystals. There we go. That's the look I was looking for. That's amazing. How that forms like that. Thank you, sir. So, that jewel right there, I have a sale price for you on it. Thing like that. And I am going to discount this one to only, it's 2.43 carat. Wow. Yeah, $14. Only $14 for that one. Let's look at item number 115. 6424. If my eyes don't deceive me. Another demortierite, and this one bigger. Okay, and look at those. Again, beautiful needles. And look at that up here. And backlight it there a little bit. Look at those. Almost, look at that. Those crystals at the bottom, it almost looks like crystal within a crystal of quartz. Then you look at those beautiful fibrous needles. If I turn it up this way, there we go. There we go, Dave. That's the shot. Look at those crystals. That's something. Great job. Thank you, sir. All right. Here we go. And this guy on sale as well. And I am going to make it only $18. Wow. Only $18 on that. Okay, let me put these two away. I'll be right back. Look at the cut on this. I would say I'd like to lay claim to having been the one to recut it. And that's what I did. These have been recut from what were native cut stones. And that's why I know the history of them and how far the stone actually goes back. Corner pine from Ceylon. Look at the cutting on that. If you want an unusual and rare collector's gem, here it is, without spending a lot of money. Now, corner pine, you might be a little bit more familiar with that unusually beautiful bright green cat's eye that you might have seen it in, which is amazing that it could be called the same gem and have such different looks. This is a stunning, beautiful, modified Portuguese cut is how I would describe it. And a classic color for this material. Wonderful Sri Lankan material, of course, Ceylon back in the day. Carat 62, and believe it or not, I have it on sale. And something like that to be on sale, that's a rarity. It is certainly a collector's gem. Old stock material. And that's hard to find these days. So I had it at only $30 a carat, which was only $48. That is really is about as cheap as you could expect it. But let's do this. Let's do this. Let's make it only what's it? In my head and 8 and okay. So make it $39. I can't do 38. You know how I like the auspicious numbers, but nope. $39 it is. That is a bargain for a such a unique and rare stone. How about this? 116 3824. I think the team we have right now is the professional team for showing you what I'm going to show you the best of. We do this right. Insects in amber. This, price on this? Oh, yeah, I can do that. The number on this is 116 3824. And this, I believe, is like the last one I have of such a big gem, meaning insect. This is a incredible size amber, but look at how big the insect is in this. Here is 40 million year old, and you're talking about a fly that looks like he could just fly right on out of there. It has been captured in time, frozen in time through tree resin, sap, and through time, pressure, and a chemical process, polymerization of the material hardens it and changes it chemically. So don't fall for any copal, which comes from Colombia and is a very young. Don't go by young amber because there's no such thing. That's like a red emerald. No such thing. Copal can be anywhere from last year's sap to 1,000 years, 10,000 years. What it is amber, and it is not millions of years. Now, there is several other insects that in here that are going to be fun for you to play around with and find, even maybe some insect parts. But to get a whole fly, look at the eyes. And actually, let me see here how much fun we can have with this by looking at it with this. Let me find, where am I looking? Oh. And this will bring it right up to the, look at those beady eyes. Oh, wow, that is kind of spooky. Look at the legs, the wings. You know, if you could get into this, when this was sealed up, that bug was alive. And then the sap runs over it, and then it seals it in for all time. You know there's bug juice in them. You know there's DNA, and why I think the whole idea of dinosaurs in mosquito blood DNA, that's every bit realistic, especially as technology goes on. Look at that. You can see both wings, you can see all the legs, you can see the large size of the body. And like I said, he looks like he's in motion. And, you know, I'm not going to take away the fun from you and look at this rest of it, because look at that. Just that one shot right there. You know, if you took a picture with a camera, the fun you could have in capturing. Look at that. Look at the two wings. I just saw in relief right there. Look at that. It doesn't get more real than that. That is a treasure. And it is Baltic amber, not Dominican Republic. So it's a much more desirable origin for the amber to be from. And yeah, there's all kinds of other little critters in here. Okay, so I'm going to set it down right here. And as I give you an opportunity of a lifetime at the price on this guy, I tell you what, let's even put them on sale. How about this? $77. Only $77, and a real, true collector's piece. What makes it especially rare is the size of the insects. Most of the times when you see an insect, I even saw it described as, it looked all big and blown up in the picture, but then I read the fine print, and this was something offered on that site on the internet. everybody shops on. And it said that the average size of the insect is 1 to 1.5 millimeters. That is about a 1 point diamond size. Those are called midges, and they're called gnats. And no, that's the way they list the animal. So they are not flies. They are nothing anywhere near that size. And yeah. So buyer beware on what you get for an insect in that realm. Let me show you. Oh boy, item number 1165524. And if you're looking for a beautiful color gem to go with, well, even something the color of that amber, look at this. Look at how well. Look, see what I mean? Look at that. Look at that. Look. Oh man, that's getting creative there, Shawn. That is that could be on the cover of my Rock and Gem magazine. Has anyone seen the Rock and Gem magazine? There's a whole article on thulite, which is pink zoisite, which I've sold a couple thulites recently to. Or had a couple to sell. One cabochon in particular, I know. So, whoever got that thulite, check out that article. All right, look at that color. I mean, that is a blue. That is a valuable blue. Madagascar sapphire, trillion shape. This was one of my own collector's gems, and it has with crystal inclusions. So that sounds interesting. It is makes me wonder what exactly was I seeing. Oh, this one. You see that inclusion right there in there? Wait till you get this home and look in the microscope at that inclusion. Yeah, sapphire's been known to have over 50 different minerals in it, and other minerals that are found within it, and which also help identify where they're from. That has a beautiful inclusion. And remember, that always brings me back to the inclusion of the month story I had. But anyway, that's a fantastic color and gem. And if you want it, I have it sale priced now for you. And I'm going to offer that for only, make it $32. $32 on that. That's a woohoo price indeed. Now, I was gonna show those rubies. I'm gonna do another fun science experiment, but we'll have to hold off on that. Here is the other one, sapphire 115 3024. This is the stone I had set aside for a long time as a educational piece, but now I thought to myself, maybe someone else can learn and keep and use it as an educational piece. It is all about zoning, and we're going to get into more into zoning. I have a citrine and amethyst I was going to show you and help you to understand a little bit more about the synthetics out there. But let me show you. I am going to show you a sapphire. Mind-blowing in color. Look at that. That is one of the most valuable colors you could hope for in a sapphire. And it is, yep, it is getting all that color. This is item number 115-3024. It is getting all that color ready, set from, look at that one little spot in the cube. This is one of the most amazing, and look at the cutting, native cut stones. Look at how off center that is. No, I don't have that turned wrong. That is how off center the culet is. But they are working, that's why they call it native cuts. They're working with the piece of rough they have, and they're going for the maximum amount of weight. So I'm sure they were hoping to hit 2 carat. They were going for the maximum amount of weight. Plus, the cutter had to know something because he nailed it for taking what color blue there was and being able to orient it to where it did that. That is an amazing lesson right there. If you took this sapphire and you again bezel set it, even with the back open, because if the back is open and it's bezel set, you're not going to see how clear it is. It actually masks all that if you only have a small open back to where it only shows a portion of just the blue part. This is how the entire stone would look from above. And you would have no idea. You would have no idea. Look at the brilliance in that. This is remarkable. And a lesson stone that if I ever taught fasting classes would be certainly a great piece still to have for this purpose alone. To show how important zoning and the use of or cutting zoning out, the difference it can make. So that way, and then I noticed looking at it from this side, it was even more intense. That is intense. So what a fun stone to learn from, to own, to possess, to have, to show off other people, and for people to learn from as well. I have this one, and I had it at a huge discount. It's a lesson stone for cutting and for heat treating. Oh yes, there is also a couple little heat treated areas that were great to be able to show you the what a heat treated inclusion looks like. It kind of explodes and creates a ring around the inclusion oftentimes. So, but a little homework and a good inclusion book and a stone like this that could help you look and learn at the same time would be fantastic. That's why it's a great lesson stone. So anyway, I had it at only 140 a carat, which was a really excellent value. I am going to sale price this one now, and we're going to make the price on this guy a phenomenal opportunity. If you want this gem, I will part with it for only $124. I have no idea about what that is per carat or anything else. It doesn't really matter. What matters is it goes from that to that, and it has one of the most expensive colors in a sapphire there is, and that is the color you're looking at right there. That intense, vibrant blue. Boom. Beautiful stuff. And the effect of zoning and the importance of cutting is everything in that piece. Let's look at item number 115-9524. Now, I've been asked for this type of material before, and so I brought one out, and then nobody wanted it. Here is my state of Georgia gemstone that you won't find any of in the state of Georgia. Look at that. It is. If you ever know what the state of Georgia looks like, look at that. Here it is. Georgia. Very much so. Just came out that way. Down here's Savannah. Here's Atlanta. Here's where I live. Here's where we want to live, up in the mountains. Okay. This is Sugarland. You can see how thin it is, but
Turn the light off.
let me show you from behind. Look at this. This is what they call gem. When you have that color in Sugilite. And it is with a hard G. It was Kenichi Sugi, not Suji. So it's not Sugilite. And you can see, thank you, sir, just how intense. So they call this material jelly. That color purple with that translucency. The black is most of the time a manganese oxide because it is from the Kalahari, the Wessels mine is in the Kalahari manganese field. And you can see that will cut some nice material, do some inlay material. It's also thick enough for tabs if you want. But if anything, it's just a really beautiful piece for display. And especially if you don't have any Sugilite at all, because to get a piece this big, this material is not inexpensive.
Alabama or Georgia?
Alabama or Georgia. That's great. Of course, it's a better deal from Georgia. Of course, there's a big rivalry down here due to football between Georgia and Alabama. All right. I have this one, which is really the largest piece of Sugilite I have. It was found originally in Japan, I believe around 1945, so it's a relatively recently discovered gemstone. And when it comes to the world of gems and minerals, yeah, but then they found incredible, beautiful amounts in the Wessels mine. So you would think they would have found it prior to the mid-40s, but maybe it was World War II that led to it or whatnot. So yeah, I even have in the description as this piece called Georgia. All right, so here we go. Sale price makes it only $38. And that's a really fantastic value. And the clock is ticking down, about 5 minutes to go. Here we have item 758118. And I tell you what, I do not have much of this left at all. This was a some material I had gotten from the world famous, truly made in America Crabtree Emerald Mine. Made in America material. Look at these emeralds in this piece. You also have the matrix, which is hornblende and can be tourmaline, shoral tourmaline, and you also can have epidote. If we look behind this, you can see, often see some greenish colors. Yeah, there we go. There's the greenish colors that you see in this. All crystalline material. And then look at the beautiful quartz silicon cementing it all together. Look at those emerald crystals. Thank you, sir. And those emerald crystals are big. But this is the way most of the Crabtree mine emeralds were founded, was in a matrix material just like what you see. And they weren't like single crystals, even though some crystals were found. Most of them were found as a part of a matrix like what you see here. All right, so this is a fantastic specimen piece, especially for the sale price. It's going to come, I'm actually even going to include a stand with it. And I have this one at an unbelievable opportunity, especially what can you get from the Crabtree mine? If you went to the Crabtree mine and they had this to buy in a showcase, you would be looking at truly a couple $100. A couple $100. I am making that one only $38. $38. And yeah, you would, true story, if you went up and saw what they're asking for those kind of things from their mine. And but in general, that material goes for big money across the board. Specimens, those specimens you just priced, it's a lot. Let me show you. I have 116 3624, 116 3624, since we're talking about the beryl family, which is emerald and includes this next goodie. Check this out. Look at this. Now, this is a colorless crystal. Look at that. That is Goshenite. That is Goshenite, which is named after where it first was discovered, Goshen, Massachusetts, of all places. And look at that. Look at that crystal. That is a big one. And look at how colorless it is.
Right.
That's what you want.
Right.
That's what you want, is a wonderful, colorless, large crystal. Quite impressive. Let me see if it stands on something. You know how I like it to do that? Well, we'll put it in its little stand for now. There we go. Try to find another one of those guys. Here we go. I have it on sale. Huge sale. Big discount, $48. Only $48. No, you know what? Let's do this. $38. $38. That should get somebody interested in it. All right. It looks like we have time for one more. And since we're in the barrel family, 107 5122. I have not shown this because I have enjoyed it again. Took it back to the house for another year or so. I am offering it. I only had one other, and I believe that Miss Gabby was fortunate enough to get it. Here is the other one I had of this very rare, hard to find, etched morganite. Look at that. This is a very rare, unusual, natural color crystal that some type of solution, which does happen, etching, has come through the pocket and created and etched out this. Now, one of them had an etched out pocket where a tourmaline crystal actually grew up through the opening. What I want to show you though is look at the clarity. There is areas in this, if you wanted to, that would cut large, natural colored morganites. Yeah, this isn't any of that treated material like you see so much of. Yeah, the other one that I think Miss Gabby actually is the one that has an opening that a perfect tourmaline crystal grew in the opening. It is the most amazing thing. But this, you can see the beautiful pinks in this, and you just never know the clarity. And that's why the person, when I originally got these many years ago out at the big show, they said and told me, and then later I found out for myself just how rare this formation was. And upon doing further research, it truly was a rare type of formation. Look at the size of this. Well, I'm needing some tooth money, so I have this at a discounted price. And wouldn't it be beautiful displayed next to a collection of other barrel? Look at the Goshenite, and this displays nicely on its own. Anyway, we'll put it right there for a moment. And if I had, here we go. Here we go. There we go. 3 types of barrel family members. Right there it is. All right. Anyway, price on the morganite be the last item of the show. I have it sale priced right now. The lowest price it will have ever been, and I'm going to make it only $164. Only $164. That's the last item of the show. Look at how big that is in my hand. A amazing collector's gem at 595 carats. And after that, that one probably is going to have to come back home with me again. I love this piece. All right. We'll be back with the trivia. See you in a minute. Okay, so didn't get to anything behind me, which there was a couple other treasures actually that were right behind me. And Raven said, I said, no one can see me right behind me. She said, well, you can move. She said, if I redo those, I have to redo the whole back. You know, she's really picky about that. So anyway, we didn't get to them. We'll get to them another day. There's always another show. After doing 7 years of them and 331 shows later, I'm sure that there will be a 332nd and 33rd and on and on. Okay. There was a couple good questions. One of them was going to be kind of easy, but I thought no, but it was. Latif thought of a barrel question, which, you know, would have been good because right at the end, the question could be something like, name the trade name for 3 different barrels I showed at the end. But that's not going to be one of the questions. Hopefully, I said to Latif, I said, that'd be easy. So I'm going to tell you the answer to that. Think of it in your head. I showed a Morganite, I showed an emerald, and I showed a Goshenite. 3 different color barrels. All of them. You know, that would be a good question right there. Yeah. I'm going to ask it. Okay, so I just showed 3 different barrels. All of them chemically the same, except for different impurities that cause them to either have color or to be natural the way they are. Now, this is an important question. I may probably, in the 330 shows and trivia questions in the past, asked it before, but I'm going to ask it again. It's important. What is the name given to a mineral or gemstone that gets its color from an outside impurity? Now, the second part to that question is, what is the name given to a mineral or gemstone whose color is derived not from an outside impurity, but from the chemical makeup of itself? In other words, malachite, it's a simple, easy to use, gets its green color because it is a copper carbonate. It is made up of copper and the carbonate part. It is, and you know how copper turns things green, right? So it gets the green color from copper as part of its chemical makeup. That is given a particular type of name when they receive their color from the chemistry they're made up of, not as an impurity. So what is the name given? And I did say it in today's show. What is the name given to that type of mineral? So first question is, when a mineral derives its color from an outside impurity, what type of gem or mineral is that color causation referred to as? Second part to the question is, if the mineral has its color from its actual chemistry itself, what is the name given to that origin of color? Now, that's to question 1. And the second part, I want the first question to that is the more common word you need to be familiar with, and the one you'll hear more often, because most gems are the first part of the question. Most gems get their color from outside impurities versus the way what their chemical origin actually is. Question number 2. I have a couple good ones here, but I'm just going to I'm going to give you the easier one of the two. Larimar is a trade name for what blue mineral? So Larimar is a trade name for a type of mineral that when it's blue, it is called Larimar. What is its actual mineral? What is the actual mineral that Larimar is made of or considered to be of? Something, something like that. So Larimar is a trade name. It's not the actual mineral name for what it is. What is the mineral name for the trade name of Larimar? Okay, good luck to all of you. I actually didn't bring in as many of new items as I have before because I want everyone to for their pocketbook to catch up and for to allow you time to take it all in, go back through some of the shows, get some items that are still available that have been missed. Like I could not believe that this amber with that huge fly was still available. None of those pieces should be available. I'm glad to see that some key pieces, like both of the opal pendants were sold. One of the tourmaline pendants, I think there's still another one. That amazing tanzanite was sold, but there is several goodies left behind. Go back through. That giant rocket pocket, I'm all but positive that would have to be from exactly where that was from, considering the years. But anyway, either way, that amazing tourmaline is available, and at a price per carat that's, well, folks in the know just how inexpensive that beauty is. All right, take advantage of all the things that haven't been taken advantage of, and I will really look forward to seeing you next week, because every week when you have such wonderful, wonderful things to show, it's a joy to bring them here to talk about them and to show you all about them, because I know you're having as much fun looking and buying and purchasing and learning as much as I am enjoying teaching, offering, and selling them to you. God bless you all. Thank you again for your support over all these many, many years. And I will see you back again on Monday, as it has been. But if for any reason we don't make it on a Monday, you know we're going to be right here shortly thereafter. Cheers. See you then.